Hi everybody.
Hello everyone.
One of the questions that we've been asked by more than one person, in fact most of the questions are asked by more than one person because we get so many of them, but one of them is the curiosity people have on how we manage with money, how we get by, how come we're living in such a nice place, how do we manage that? Should I start?
Yes, please.
Well, we met each other, and we've explained this in a previous video, we met each other in 2006 physically. That's when I came to Australia, and we've been together since then. And to begin with, we struggled, or particularly I struggled with money, because Kritushka had a disability pension from her spinal injury, so she was living in a housing estate and getting by that way. And when I came over to Australia, I really didn't have much money at all. In fact, it was a big hang-up of mine that I had hardly any money, and I was afraid if things didn't work out between us, I'd end up flying back to Europe and have nothing in my account. So it was a huge stress for me. But I started making money in Sydney in two different ways. One of them was collecting scrap metal from bins around. I used to go walk down the streets, collect scrap metal.
How did you come up about that idea?
Well, there was a guy living on our estate. His name was Michael, and Michael used to collect scrap metal.
Ah, Michael, yes.
Yeah, and Michael said to me, why don't you collect it too, because it's an easy way to make money.
It was good price then.
It was a good price for copper, and like one tin can I'd get 1 cent for, which doesn't sound like much, but when I'd walk down the street on bin day, I could pick hundreds of cans. I knew there were particular households that just threw them out. The bin was full of cans, so I'd head to those. After a while I got to know what was in each bin, sort of, because I got up bright and early before the bin man came, and I would walk down the street and pick up whatever scrap metal I could find. And this would be cans, be copper. I would take TV sets, microwaves, car batteries, I'd cut off wires from appliances, and I would take all this back, and then I would sit on the street and I would open up these TV sets, and I would take out all the aluminium, I would take out all the copper, I would take out any bits of metal that I could find that were worth something for the scrap dealer.
Recycling.
And of course I wasn't very popular there because people would always see the bins were full with old TV sets. But it was a way I made some money. It wasn't very much, but I used to make maybe $80.
Oh, you make good money.
No, not with the scrap metal. $80 a week or so I'd make.
Well, that's a good money.
Which was good, but
I have about that much about. I didn't have much more than that. Yeah. Anyway, keep going.
Anyway, one day this guy came along and he saw me taking apart a TV set, sitting there on the curb near the housing flats, and he said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm taking them apart to get scrap metal from them." And this guy's name was Denny. He was from Macedonia, and he said, "Well, you know, you can make much better money collecting golf balls, finding golf balls." So I was curious because he was doing it pretty much every day or a few days a week, and then he would sell them 1 day a week. So he took me under his wing basically, and he took me out there.
Because there was mafia. It was very good business, and they were keeping the eye, nobody much intrudes, so there is no big competition. They keep going.
So anyway, we had, I think, 3 or 4 really kind of prestigious golf courses that were all, well, 3 of them were in walking distance, easy walking distance, and there was another one which was a short car drive away. So Denny and I, we started going out 3 mornings a week, and he showed me around every single golf course and where all the thickets were, which was pretty obvious. He just said, go in there and search for them. So we would go in and search, and believe it or not, every week the 2 of us would find about 300 golf balls that were lost, that were just lost in the bush, in the thicket, in the little forest parts that they had there. And we would take these golf balls home and we would wash them, made them look clean and made them look quite new. And then 1 day a week we would take them to the golf course, sit on one of the tees, wait for the golfers to come, and the golfers would buy the golf balls from us. And some of them, there were a particular brand of golf ball called Titleist, which the good quality ones we could sell for $2 each, and the other ones we could sell for $1 each, and then we would sell bags of 12 for $5 when they weren't that good quality. And we could take home, each of us, around $300 a week. So suddenly I had more cash than I knew what to do with, which was really good.
Yeah, average Australian wage in those days. I got the low one, the lower wage.
So I was very, very happy with that. It was a source of income. I hadn't had a steady income for quite a while. So doing this just 4 mornings a week, and I was making $300. That's 3 mornings searching for like 3 hours, and then 1 morning selling for like 4 hours.
Yeah, but you have to wash them and sort them. I also hand sort the bags from cotton.
But yeah, and Greta was really good because she made me these nice little cotton bags for each type of golf ball, and I had maybe 10 or 12 bags that were always full because I never got to sell them all every week. So I'd always have some left over from the week before, but they were nicely sorted. It was really well organised, and that was really good. But going back to the scrap metal, because when I was collecting scrap metal, I also came across treasures within the bin. Not only metal, but treasures. There were things like designer wear clothing.
Cash.
Cash was a one-off thing. One time I found a whole bunch of jewellery, and there were teddy bears, there were really good books, there were toys, there was all kinds of treasures. You wouldn't believe.
A lot of things. You wouldn't believe what people
throw out. When I started collecting scrap metal, I would bring home these treasures, and to begin with, we thought, we just keep them because look, it's just such a shame that they've been thrown away. We even got a TV set that was in working order, quite a big one, big screen one that we just plugged in and it was fully working. And anyway, over time, we started building up these bags with the treasures, and we had one wall of the apartment which was piled high almost to the ceiling with these green reusable bags.
Full of goods.
Full of treasures from the bins. And then we got the idea, we'll start selling them at the markets.
Yes.
So we started.
And with that, another idea came, because there's, in Sydney, we lived in Sydney, and they say once in 3 months, they throw things on the street, people you don't want, you just throw in the front of your house. And there is a pile. And so we went with the car in our suburb and maybe following suburb, and we will just go through those heaps and pick the things we thought they look good and they will sell well. And that's how we start gaining even more goods to sell at the local markets. So
it's a wonderful system. They don't do it up here in Queensland, but Sydney, there was somewhere every week. If you wanted to drive around every suburb all over Sydney, you would have found treasure every week.
You can make business of it. There people made a business.
Because people would put out old antique chests of drawers. Anything. Some things were just too big for us to take. We only had a car. So we would look at things and we'd think, wow. But we just didn't really have any way to get rid of it. We probably could have, but...
No, this was the best.
We just took the little things that we could sell at the market, and we were making about $300 a week. Which for a lot of people out there it might not sound like a lot of money, but we felt like we were rolling in cash.
We're rolling money because we have a very little expenses.
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. Always has been correct. Yeah. We're very frugal.
But both of us, it's our nature. We just have it into us. Yeah. You know, we were in a way born this way. Yeah. Me and Mango, we think twice before we spend money on something, because we don't want to support the production of the things. Yeah. So like all my clothes is second hand. Very few things I have brand new, and that was bought to me as present by somebody, and stuff like this. All my knitted things I buy in second hand shop, $2 jumper. I undo it, I make my own, that's what I do, or I just buy, sometimes they sell bags from yard or $2-3. We don't need much money to live on. No, so for us, $300, it's a big money.
Because we're not like people who go out and get our hair done or have to spend money at the beauty salon. We're already beautiful. And we don't buy designer wear clothes. We don't buy any new clothes.
Cosmetics, any
Nothing
cosmetics,
like
any shoes.
So,
all I buy is underwear. I buy new, but otherwise, no.
So basically the only things that we really buy new for the house are things like kitchen appliances. We'll buy a new fridge if we need one, or a washing machine.
Or computers.
Or computers, laptops.
We used to buy second-hand one before, but they usually don't work for very long, and then we have a problem to get rid of it, and so we decided buy new, take care of it, so hopefully it lasts for longer then.
So we were quite well set really in Sydney with money. We had more than we needed. And then in September 2009, I was granted my full residency visa. And what happened was that I went to Centrelink, that's the dole office basically, and I sat with one Aboriginal lady who started asking me questions for me to fill out a form. And she asked, well, do you have a partner? And I said yes. And she can't work because she's on a disability pension. And she said to me, in a very hushed voice, so nobody else would hear around, she said, you know, you may be eligible for a carer's pension and not have to worry about seeking work. And I thought, this sounds really good, because I've been putting out for quite some time to just have a source of income that I didn't have to worry about. So she led me through the process, and I ended up getting a carer's pension. Now we're both on a pension since then, so I'm not collecting golf balls, I'm not doing anything. I was working on a farm for a while. All of this is explained in a lot of detail in the 3rd volume of my autobiography, and we consider ourselves to be very, very blessed. And the thing is, we never ever had money enough to even consider putting a down payment on and buying our own place. So where we live is not our place, it's somewhere that we rent.
It's a godsend.
That's very true. We have a beautiful landlord who we hardly ever see. He's down south in a place called Mullaney, and every now and again he'll show his face, like every 2 years or something.
Not anymore. In the beginning he came more often.
He came every year.
To make sure we are the right people, I suppose. They're very happy with us because we maintain the big gardens here, and, well, mainly mango, you know. And we also are very environmentally friendly. We don't use nothing. There is no detergents, shampoos, or anything of that kind. We clean with water.
We're a chemical-free household. We have house rules. Anybody that comes here, they're only allowed to eat fruit, and they're not allowed to bring any chemicals. And if we can, we'll tell them to take their shoes off. But that's not a requirement, because we understand not everybody can do that. But that's kind of our house rules. So we manage on 2 pensions. They're not a great deal of money coming in. Most people on pensions cannot manage with it. They have to go and get other additional support. But we manage okay.
Because we both doesn't have those accessible needs. You know, we know people, they buy everyday coffee outside.
Cakes, coffee.
Magazines. And that's already something I would never buy. And that's how it starts. If you really write down what you spend your money on, it's add up. You would be surprised. I give you an example. It's not about the money, but it still shows something. Many, many years back, when I used to socialize and I ate everything, I socialize a lot, and when we go to sit in a restaurant, often I would just have a cup of tea. And they gave us little bags with sugar next to the tea. And I each time took 2 little bags of sugar and put them in my handbag. And when I come home, I have this big glass round bowl, and I would put that sugar. That was my decoration, because I never bought the sugar. And if I have a visitor who wanted tea or coffee and sugar with it, there was the sugar. And the bowl, within only a few months, was full. I could not believe it. Honestly, I could not believe it. And I said, this is just 2 spoons of sugar worth, and it's only sometime. And look at this. This is mountain. And I said, how about people who eat sugar in the cakes and what have you, and they have 3 coffees or 3 teas a day and this and that. And on that I realized how little by little, it doesn't take long, and it grows and it's big. That's how people think. They said, I just 1 teaspoon of sugar, that's nothing. 100 times nothing is a big mountain. So think about that. And that goes with money. That's talking about money as well.
We're not people to complain about money. We consider ourselves extremely blessed. I think we must be doing something right with our lives to be as blessed as we are. We've got a beautiful piece of land that we're on, that we're caretaking. We've got no neighbours that are visible. We're on a road which has only got residential traffic. We don't hear any neighbours apart from farmers sometimes with their tractor.
On a mango farm.
On a mango farm which is next door. We have a dam right next to their house we can go and swim in. We have so many things to be thankful for, and it's all fallen into our laps, really.
We hardly done anything, 1 phone call. And also there was a bit of grown fruit trees here, a lot of jackfruit, few bananas.
Yeah, when we moved in, there was tall grass 2 or 3 metres high everywhere, and hidden in that grass there were some fruit trees. Some of which took me a year or more to find, because that's how long it took me to clear the land, and finally then I'd find a tree that was there and he'd be covered in vines. So he was only like 1 metre tall, and if he'd been left in the light he would have been maybe already giving fruit. But I cleared all the vines and all the grass around, and now they're giving fruit. So this is quite amazing. Most of the trees I have put in myself, most of the banana plants I put in myself. But there were a few around already, and it's just, we are very blessed.
And we very thankful, extremely thankful, we are aware of our blessings.
I think in life you have to have an attitude of gratitude, and if you don't have that, then you may find yourself falling into a negative cycle where if your attitude is one of whinging instead of being thankful for the good things, if you're constantly complaining about everything that's wrong, then that's what the universe is going to give you, more stuff that's wrong. I really think that's the way the universe works.
Yeah, you're like attracting that energy, because it's an energy, it's about spiritual world.
Yeah.
Our body is just a carrier of the spirit, it's the temple. It's important because it carries this treasure, this spirit, and depends how we cultivating that spirit. And that's why I keep saying, cultivate that love in your heart, because that's the most important thing you can have. And I think we should close it because it's getting long and we start talking about other things than money. We can make another video how actually we manage money, you know.
What we spend it on, really.
Yeah, what we actually spend money on. What we need the money for. Okay.
Okay. I hope that answered your question. Everybody, all you curious people out there who want to know how we get by. How about you tell us how you get by now? Because everybody wants to ask us how we're getting by, but share the same with us.
Yeah, is it difficult for you to manage money, or easy peasy, or...
Yeah.
So till next time, we love you. And also thank you for all the beautiful comments. We are appreciating being appreciated, being understood, and being loved by you. Thank you. We love you back. Until next time.
Yeah. Bye.